Alright, so what is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another video. I mentioned I was gonna make this video in my crash insurance update kind of video. But anyways, I'm gonna do a little toolbox tour today just to kind of go over a bunch of the, I guess, more specialized tools that I have as someone who works on Volkswagens and Audis and that kind of thing. And this will apply to, you know, looking for tools for anything from the Volkswagen Auto Group, so like Skodas and I guess Lamborghinis and some other stuff that are going to use the same kind of tools and the same bits as you'll find on a lot of different Volkswagens. And I'm going to kind of explain to you guys like how much money everything costs and alternatives for not spending, you know, a bunch of money on overpriced stuff when it comes to, you know, buying brands like Snap-on and that kind of thing, because you don't need that stuff. Lots of Snap-on drivers will tell you that, and that's literally their job. So you're gonna wanna save some money and put your money either into your car or into a lot of other things. So without further ado, let's jump right into this. So for some of you that have watched the channel for a very long time, or I guess not even a very long time, just a while, I used to have a Snap-on box that was probably about a third of the size of this box, so it was quite short. I believe this is a 54-inch box and the other one was I can't even remember, like 24 inches or something. So this one's significantly bigger, and I'm nowhere close to having this full, but so far everything in this toolbox has gotten me through 2 levels of automotive apprenticeship back a couple years ago when I was still actually a professional mechanic and being a hobbyist. So the first drawer is the most major one that's gonna have all of my sockets and everything in it. There's a lot of blank spaces in a lot of these trays and everything, and that's just because this set that I have doesn't have every single size. But we'll just go from left to right because left is the least important, right is the most important. First off, this is my Imperial stuff. So this is everything that's measured in inches versus millimeters for those of you that are new-ish to working on cars. So a lot of this stuff doesn't really get touched. There's nothing really super particular here. I have one very large 36 millimeter on this side, and this is for doing like axle nuts, some oil filters, like oil filter housings I should say, use the 36 mil. So that's kind of an important socket to have, and that should technically be over here, but I just put it over here because I don't really have the space on that side to have it over there. So yeah, this is just your typical 1/2 inch, 3/8, and then 1/4 inch drive Imperial stuff. So we've got it in 6-point obviously and 12 points. Obviously we have the deep sockets, shallow sockets. Next, obviously, very important tools to have. Number 1, 24-inch breaker bar and 1/2 inch. I don't have a ratcheting end. I would have bought one, but I believe the price difference was pretty significant. So I think that 24-inch breaker bar was only like $15, and it's a maximum one from Canadian Tire. And a lot of people in Canada, like really hardcore mechanics, will shit on Canadian Tire. And honestly, I think Canadian Tire is one of the better brands that you can get, because not only are Canadian tires absolutely everywhere in Canada, you break anything that is made by Maximum or Mastercraft, I think. Mastercraft, you literally walk into a Canadian Tire with that broken tool, no receipt, pay absolutely nothing, and they will replace it on the spot with a brand new one, and it doesn't matter. I think out of my, I want to say 5 years of working on cars, the only things I have broken are the heads on a breaker bar, and then I have a universal joint somewhere that I broke, and that's it. Literally the only 2 things, and I have busted my ass on a lot of stuff. So that's one of the good things about using Maximum or Mastercraft. Next up, obviously another very important thing to have. Doesn't matter what brand this is, as long as it is accurate and it has a authentication for how accurate it is. And this is obviously your torque wrench. Mine is analog because I don't have the big dollar bills to get a digital one, but I have built motors with that torque wrench before, and I probably won't anymore because I mainly use it for wheels. But Obviously, another very important thing to have when you are working on Volkswagens and Audis is because a lot of stuff is very torque specific. So that is important. Moving on, 1/2 inch, 3/8, 1/4 inch ratchet. These aren't high tooth count ones. I should get high tooth count ones because having a higher tooth count is obviously just better for small spaces or limited access, I should say. I have a 1/4 inch kind of screwdriver bit kind of thing. 1/4 inch screwdriver with a replaceable tip that you can put any bit in. Moving on, obviously all of our metric sockets. So our 1/2 inch at the back, 3/8 right here, 1/4 inch, obviously once again 6 point, 12 point, deep and shallow. They're just kind of like the one-off things that I have. I also have a 29mm impact again. I think this is also another axle nut tool that I use. Kind of important. Get it in an impact because obviously when you're doing axle nuts, you want it to be able to handle the highest amount of torque possible. Also an oil filter tool. This one is adjustable, so it just kind of changes the size. I don't really like using these because if you have a really weak screw-on filter, using these is a really good way to like crush the sides, and then they sometimes will leak if you put it on with this. Taking it off, not such a big deal because you're replacing it anyways. But if you have to take the oil filter off to do anything like you're doing intake manifold, multi-port injection, or anything where the oil filter gets in the way, you can actually get them where it's just like, it looks like a really massive like flat socket, and those are a lot better, and you can get them in multiple sizes. I just got this one because it was super cheap and I needed it for my car. Obviously impact extensions are important. I have a whole impact set and we'll get into that in a second. Next up are all of these different bit kits that I'm going to pull out. And for you Volkswagen guys, you already know what these guys are. These are probably arguably the most important bit that you're going to ever have to get working on Volkswagens and Audis. So we'll start not with those. We'll talk about those in a second. But these guys, these are just different size Allen head sockets. I had to buy this whole set to do the drain plugs for my DSG. There are other drain plugs and stuff, like some just regular oil drain plugs use these. Some of the freeze plugs on Volkswagens use these if you're doing like coolant jackets and like that kind of thing. So those are important. Crow's foot. I don't even know if you'd call these sockets or bits or what you would call them. I only bought these specifically to do O2s, but I've used them for other stuff too. And the reason why I will say if you don't want to spend the money to get an O2 socket set, because I know some of them are like $100+. I think this set was $12 or something from Princess Auto, and none of these have broken. And I just use these to get O2 sensors out, but you can also use them for like really tight places where, you know, you can't really fit a whole socket wrench in there to just kind of crack a bolt off and then loosen it by hand. These can be really helpful. So I have those. Okay, so now the important, very, very, very important sockets. These are triple squares. So for any of you that have worked on Volkswagens or anything before, or you're new, this is literally the second thing you should be buying after you get a socket set is triple squares. And the reason for that is because triple squares are literally used in so many different parts of Volkswagens, whether it be suspension, head bolts, oil feed lines, coolant lines. These things are used literally everywhere, and they are so annoying, but are, once you like know the science and everything behind why they're used, are honestly such like a good bolt. But you're gonna need these. I know a snap-on set of these is like $200. Don't waste your goddamn money on anything that expensive when it comes to just like a small socket set like this. Like I think this set from Canadian Tire, Princess Auto yet again, was $30. Never had a problem. None of them have snapped. I've used these for head bolts. I've used these for like rear control arms on like Mark V's that are torqued to like 100 and whatever foot-pounds. Never broke any of them. Never rounded anything out. So another good thing to have. I have a second set of these, but these ones are shallow for obvious reasons, getting into tighter spaces, and then also these are security locked as well. I can't remember exactly what I needed this for. I think one of these two were the specific triple squares I needed to use for the drain plug on my DSG, because I think it was security locked or some drain plug or something. But anyways, it's always good to have both sets. Both sets are cheaper than one snap-on set, so you might as well just get both. These are also from Princess Auto, and these are Pro Point Impact ones. So yeah, that's the top drawer. That is my most used drawer. Going down, this is going to be the most aesthetically pleasing, I'm sure, for most of you. This is my wrench drawer that isn't completely full yet. So I have, obviously, my metric wrenches all the way up to 22 mil in large length. I have imperial wrenches that go all the way up to 1 1/8. I also have my stubbies that also go to 22 mil all the way down to, I believe, 7 mil. And then stubbies in imperial as well that start at 1/4 and go all the way up to, I believe, 7/8. Yes, 7/8. And then I have offsets as well. Offsets are good for doing like strut bolts on Mark IVs specifically. I have these for, and I think I bent one of these a little bit more aggressively just to be able to use them. But good to have. I kind of just, if I need to use something once, I just go out and buy it anyway, so that I never have to, you know, run into the issue of going out to get tools in the middle of a job ever again. Next drawer down isn't really complete or laid out. These are just all my pliers and everything, needle nose, skinny, thick, side cutters, big, small, classic stuff. I have metal shears that I just kind of use for having to chop anything out. And then I also have these guys here. So these are some more wrenches. These are just ratcheting wrenches. I actually use these more commonly than you would think, probably more than my regular wrenches, but with my regular wrenches, I just use those for breaking the bolts loose, and then I'll usually swap to a ratcheting wrench unless I can fit an actual ratchet in there. So yeah, I have swivel heads, which I actually don't use that often anymore. As you can see, I used to tape them so that they weren't swivel anymore. And then I have obviously longer stubbies, and then metric and imperial for both. I don't know where the stubby imperials are. Next drawer down is just a shitload of screwdrivers. I mean, not a shitload, I'm sure there are people out there that have even more than I do. Most important ones in here are probably gonna be my picks. Picks are super important when it comes to working with Volkswagen Electrical because of the squeeze connectors, or I guess pressure fit would be a better word for it. Those kind of connectors. And then the next most important, extendo magnetic stick boy. That's kind of important, obviously, for dropping bolts and getting stuff out of tight places. And then you got all your common screwdrivers, Phillips, Robertson, flathead, you know, all that good stuff. And then the 2-foot breaker bar is obviously quite important for getting like control arms and that kind of thing out of the subframe. And then obviously I have more Allen keys. I usually use Allen bolts, which will be in the next drawer because I was moving stuff around. But I prefer to use Allen bolts if I can, if I don't have to use Allen keys, because I just don't like bashing my knuckles with gripping onto an Allen key. And then I have a flare kit that I think I've used one time that I'll probably never use again because there's no point. And then I just kind of have this. Yeah, so this is another very important tray to talk about. You've got the smaller Allen bolts. You saw that I had that whole other set. This is the smaller one. I most commonly use the 5 and the 6 for the small Allen bolts that hold a lot of the accessory stuff onto Volkswagen engines, specifically oil drain lines and that kind of thing. And then also guide pins for brake calipers, that kind of thing. And then another very, very important bit is the Torx bit. Volkswagen loves these little guys. These little Torx bits. Volkswagen loves to use these guys. Specifically on skid plates, body panels, you name it. Anything plastic, basically, Volkswagen will have Torx bits on it. And I have those in a 3/8 and a 1/4 inch. And then just lots of extra screwdriver bits. And then we'll quickly move on to power tools. There isn't much left to talk about, but now I know I talked shit about Snap-on, and honestly, now that I like go back and I look at when I was an apprentice, this is a really dumb, stupid purchase I made. And I have an 18-volt Snap-on impact that is nowhere near as strong as the Milwaukee one you can get for half the price. And I actually bought all of these because I was getting a apprentice discount, which isn't even a fucking discount, pardon my language, because it's a joke. And the only thing that I can even remotely say about Snap-on that has been good so far is I've never had a problem with any of these. But at the same time, I have friends that have all Milwaukee everything that have never had a problem with any of their stuff, and their Milwaukee tools are literally like a quarter or a third of the price of all of these, and it's actually ridiculous. So like, it's just stupid. So I have a 1/2-inch impact, a 3/8 impact, and then a 1/4-inch ratchet, and that is the only combo I've ever used for power tools working on a car. If I didn't have Snap-on, I would have Milwaukee. I have tried to sell these. No one even wants to buy them used, so that just goes to show you that like Snap-on is literally like, for electric tools, don't even fucking waste your money. I wouldn't even say waste your money on Snap-on tools for hand tools, but some people just literally are such massive Snap-on fanboys that I don't even know. Anyways, that's the electric tools. I always have a pair of gloves, usually when I'm doing bigger stuff that I don't want to bash my knuckles open on, and they have rubber knuckles, pretty well padded. I use those quite a bit. This drawer just got a whole bunch of random crap in it. I got a multimeter in here as well, and then just some other random stuff that doesn't really matter that I need to kind of filter through. Now my toolbox is good because I have this entire storage shelf area kind of thing that I was planning on drilling a hole through to set up my battery chargers in here, but I haven't even got around to that. But it's just kind of a nice little storage area where I could put, you know, car parts, other bigger tools, anything that will fit on a shelf essentially. So that's all in there. And then I just kind of slap stickers on the inside of there. Haven't had this one very long. My other one was pretty sticker bombed. And then the last thing, which I keep under my toolbox because this one gets pretty greasy, are impact bits for my impact gun. And these I probably use the most, and I barely use anything other than the 17 mil and the 19 mil. And if you work on cars, you 100% know why that is. And obviously those are for taking off wheels. With my impact bits, I hockey tape the tip of them just so that I don't scratch the inside of the lug holes. And then other than that, I use the impact driver sometimes to get the little Phillips or the Torx bit that holds the brake rotor to the wheel bearing, or the hub flange, or whatever you want to call it. So I just keep that under there because those are always dirty and I never want to mix it with anything else. But yeah, other than that, there isn't much else for tools that I really use to work on my Audis or my Volkswagens or anything. I have an air compressor, obviously, nothing super fancy, some Princess Auto like $100 thing with a water filter on it. And then my really crappy Motomaster jack that hasn't killed me yet, use that. Gonna have to find a low profile jack soon though. Yeah, I don't really know. I don't really know what else to talk about. There's not much else to go over. Like I have a rag box. I've got my storage for all my like cleaning stuff. Like I keep all my fluids and everything that I would use down there. All my cleaning stuff for washing cars and that kind of thing. Dual action polisher. Oh, and then my big work light that has seen a good amount of abuse. I have that. That's always a good purchase you can get. But yeah, I guess another great tool to have is an awesome set of work lights. I actually just finished installing these last night, but the night before. I have yet to work in here with the new lights on, but I can tell you 100% it's way brighter than it used to be. So hopefully videos from now on will be a lot nicer quality, because I know the darker videos or the darker lighting make it a little bit grainier. So anyways, guys, so that is the toolbox slash, I guess, quick garage tour. Like I said, we're just kind of waiting for parts. and everything, and then we will be installing all that on the A3. We're still waiting to hear back about the insurance and everything. I haven't heard back, gotten any calls or anything yet. So yeah, next video hopefully is going to be the new car, which should be at the end of the week, probably around Friday. I'm super excited. You know, it's we're already almost halfway through January, so summer is going to be coming up pretty quick. Motorcycle will be coming back out around March, but the new car is probably going to take over the channel for a couple of videos at least, while we order some more A3 parts after the ones that arrive come. So if you're new to the channel and for some reason you've stumbled into my Toolbox tour video, you can go check out some of my other Audi stuff. Just click on my channel link down below, and you know, don't forget to subscribe if you're new, like the video, drop a comment if you want to see some other videos about anything I do with the cars. But yeah, it's just the waiting game for now. So anyways, ladies and gentlemen, peace out. I will see you in the next video.